Welcome to another episode of Angels, Positivity, and Love. Here we are in 2024. Thank you so much for joining us. We had a super successful 2023 with the show, 50 episodes recorded. We are booked through episode 83, two-thirds of the way through August. Sandra Ingerman, Ross Gutler, and also Maciel Clerk should be joining us. Super excited about that. Today, another special guest joining us from Minnesota, Nikki Bodine. That's Nikki, Nikki, Bodine, Bodine.com. Check her out. She has a really easy website to use. She's totally available. She does psychic readings. She's also the sister of Echo Bodine. It runs in the family. They have a brother as well. All of them do amazing work. I would love to have them on at the end of 2024. It's a discussion I'll have with all three. We'll wait and see. But so meanwhile, I've got to remind folks, public service announcement, if you're here, subscribe, comment, like, share. People pop onto this channel. They definitely watch the content, but they can be really shy about this. Find a way to just comment on what you enjoyed, just a single thing that you enjoyed. It helps the algorithm and it gets this show out to others so they can experience what they can experience. And I think that's what we're talking about today. We're all on a unique life path. We're all doing the best we can, and we all have boundaries where we put our thinking, but we all have really big hearts. And my guest today, Nikki Bodine, helps people tap into their heart more. She gives them good advice straight from above. And I'd like to welcome Nikki to the show.
Hi. Thank you, Michael.
Nikki, can you tell us just a little, everyone sort of has got this Marvel or superhero origin story, how they got started. I know you're not wearing a costume flying around, but you do something special for people. You do have a gift. And I also know it's sort of an always evolving set of skills. Can you talk to us about how it first kind of appeared, what sort of resistance you put up, as we all do, and then when did you kind of get on board with helping others?
Okay, so I flew for 30 years. I was a flight attendant, and I had no intentions of doing this until I would go to a funeral of a friend of mine, and they would come up and talk to me, and I was just blown away. And so it started slowly like that, and then I'd go to another funeral, and they would come up and talk to me. I used to do healing touch, and when I would give people healings who have lost somebody, the deceased would come up and talk to me, and I was just shocked because I had no intentions of using these gifts. I actually thought my sister Echo was crazy. And so as I kept doing healing work and hearing from deceased, my mother, who was an excellent psychic, would send me people for healing. And it just slowly turned into, okay, I'm going to have a client here and try to talk to the deceased. And that slowly happened. Then when my mother died, I took her tarot cards off of the table, couldn't throw them away. So I took them and studied them and started learning tarot for the last 10 years. And they're very accurate. They're always right on the mark what people are going through. And my development just happened slow but sure. That seems to be the way these things happen. So it wasn't like a big light bulb moment. It was very casual and subtle and quiet, and I just slowly got into it.
I love it. And I know you're super private about this, not reserved, but just, you're taking it one step at a time, and you've been doing that a long time. Can you tell us a little bit about like the funerals? Was it full on seeing someone coming up, or was it just you felt them and heard them? Could you describe which way it kind of went down?
Yeah, they just came up to me and I heard them. It's when you hear deceased, it's a thought. And he said, "Hi, Nikki, it's so nice to see you." And it was very loud because when they first die, they're right here. And the same with the second funeral, which actually was my dad. And he actually yelled at me because me and my brother Michael were kind of talking a little. You shouldn't do that at a funeral. And we were talking a little bad about him, but not terribly. And he came up to me in his voice and said, "Shame on you. This is my party." And I just about had a heart attack. I couldn't believe it. So I don't ever talk bad about anybody at a funeral.
Oh my
So
goodness.
yes, in a thought, it's in a voice, but it's more a thought you hear.
And
And so Yeah, sometimes you do see them, but most of the time it's a voice.
Yeah, I mean, there's a real it stretches what we can allow for, what we can believe in. And then we have automatic blocks with the brain, but there's gaps. And in those gaps, either angels can go, your relatives can go, or you just get a great thought that you're like, I should make this meal today, or I should call Joe about that job or something. Could you give us one last bit of definition on this? Do you also get, I don't know what this is called, smells, where let's say your dad smokes a pipe, but he came in with pipe smell, just so you know it's him. Do you get that as
Yes.
well? Olfactory, right?
Yes, I have gotten those in readings where I've smelled a perfume. And then my client will tell me, yeah, her and her sister had a favorite perfume. So yeah, smells are very obvious that that's the deceased. What other things? Smells, definitely smells. Yeah, and mostly intuition and feelings and hearing.
Okay.
And you like angels a lot. I'll quick tell you a story about when I was giving a lady a healing who was literally dying. Two angels came in the room and lit up the whole room, which was dark, and they were standing above her, waiting for her to come. So definitely angels are real, and in the living too. So
Well, you beat
yeah.
me to the punch on one of the future questions, which is, do angels exist? But if you don't mind me asking one more time, one day this will be a 20-second clip of this part. Do angels exist, Nikki Bodine?
Yes, they do. And as you've said, in life daily with how we live and in the spirit world, I mean, these angels literally were like in the movies. They were huge. They had wings. They lit up the whole room, and the room was dark because the light hurt her eyes. So they had pulled the curtains and turned off the lights, and the whole room lit up with these two angels. They were absolutely beautiful.
Okay, now let's talk about you, but don't go there if you don't want to go there. This is a lot for you. It's been a lot for you from the beginning. You weren't expecting to go to a funeral and have such a direct interaction. So when the angels came in on this one, is it something that for 3 weeks, 3 months, or all the way to today, you occasionally flash to twice a month, twice a year, you remember back, or you need a pick me up and you're like, ah, I remember those two angels that day. Talk to us about, we've got a brain and we want to analyze everything, but we know that's not what it's about. It's about enjoying the ride, being here, and allowing more. How do you reconcile that with thinking, the brain? How did you end up settling on what went down? How do you live with it today? You know what I'm trying to ask? Your
Uh,
philosophy on the whole, rolling with life, rolling with more love, allowing more love, sharing more love.
Well, for me, I mean, I'll never forget that experience. I mean, what a blessing to see two beautiful angels above this lady. Um, it was like in the movies, at Disneyland, Disney World. It was literally two beautiful angels. And what that has done is help my, oh gosh, what do you want to say? It's helped my faith, believe in God, Jesus, the afterlife, that there is help on the other side. So yeah, it helped me with my faith, especially.
Oh, that's incredible. And I really thank you for sharing that, because that should resonate with every single person watching this well into the future, because it's a
Mhm.
lot to allow for something other than what's like right in front of us, and whether we know it or not, because a lot of times we're just shutting stuff off. We don't need to waste that energy. We can just allow, and more love slips through whether we know it or not. And I'll do one last kind of tangent. I think Mary, the big Mary, said, love isn't everything. Open your eyes to see love. So I try to remember that. For me, it's once every 2 weeks I get to remember that, which means if you would just pump the brakes, slow down, and it may mean seeing a flower over there or the sunset or petting your dog, but there's so much more the second we stop processing up here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and I've noticed when I do readings, people always want this big, big, huge answer. And life isn't like that. It can be subtle, real subtle answers, quiet answers. Our spirit guides mostly don't yell at us, they talk to us, and they're very subtle and quiet. They might be a little insistent, but they're not going to yell at us mainly. It's so you do have to pay attention to the quietness and the signs, by pulling back and paying attention.
Amazing. And I've got to say, you volunteered, Tara. We got on a little early And I was just popping on to set everything up, and you were there, and you did tarot cards for me, and I have to say it was not 100% accurate, like 1000% accurate. I have been asking angels
Oh,
specific questions about the whole career path trajectory. I'm kind of like this the last 12 years, New York style. But I've learned, you can't force anything. It's just allow more, love more, let the universe do its job, let it unfold. But you said like verbatim exactly
oh,
everything. If it was darts,
good.
you did 10 darts in a row to the bullseye, splitting each previous dart. So you're like a
Thank
Zen
you.
ninja, tarot card expert, galore,
Oh, well,
extraordinaire.
oh, I hardly did anything, but the cards said a lot. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and luckily it was all good, and I still have at least a week to go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Good. Your
um,
future's bright.
exactly. Okay. Tell us a little bit more, because you've mentioned a couple things that we're going to get into. One was your mom, and two, obviously your sister. We'll talk about her in a totally positive, fun way. She's already been a guest on the show in the fall 2023. Please check out Echo Bodine. She gave such a good interview. She is such a riot. Plus, she was on a panel with Ariel Ford and Tracy Clark. And this is a mind, body, spirit panel series where we get three people together to just chat. Hopefully, we'll see Nikki on one of those hint in the future. We'll wait and see. So check her sister out. But what I wanted to get to is you mentioned your mom, who is a pro. Um, you've got your sister, you've got your brother. It's in the blood. It's in the line. Um,
Yes.
and there's sort of that, well, they're already doing it. I can just ask them questions versus you should step into the role. Can you talk to us about the friction? They're doing what they're doing. Everyone's like, oh, well, I don't do what she does. Or they're like, oh, I'd like to do it like her. Where were you and how the chips fell on all this?
Okay. So
Your brother does it one way, your sister does it another. Your mom was a classic. She knew to start steering you business. What did your mom know that she knew before you realized it?
you knew before you really. I'm kind of confused with your answer question. Are
your,
you, what
your
are you
mom saw
asking?
your skill set and your potential, and she was
Yeah.
steering you business. But
Right.
everyone's either slow or quick to the take for accepting their responsibility of their
Oh,
using their gifts to help others. Where did the
yeah.
chips fall for you? Were you just jumping at it, and day one you were maxed out for all your skills?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. No, I went very slowly. I fought it for a while. Um, I had a stupid religious belief that this was wrong. I had to get past that, which I found out is not wrong. It's a gift from God. And so after I worked through that, it just for me was real slow. With Michael and Echo, I think their career started fast and hard and they went gung ho. But for me, I hesitated, but just slowly did it. And it grew naturally without forcing it or even studying anything. It just happened naturally. So I think, was that the
That's
answer
the
to your?
question. Except now, tell us, what were your mom's gifts? What did she do for people?
Oh, she was an excellent psychic. She read tarot cards, and she, her and Michael, my brother, do more future stuff than I do. Echo is very good. I'm kind of basic, but I do get future and help in relationships. But Mama's really, really good psychic.
Now, was she at all hesitant, or did she just lay it out there quick?
She just laid it out there. She dove into it. We grew up in a haunted house. Michael wrote a book on that, Growing Up Psychic.
Okay.
And so she dove in right away. We used to have seances at the house. And so she dove in right away, which scared the hell out of all of us. And we actually had to put a stop to it because there were so many ghosts in the house. So she dove in pretty soon here.
Interesting. Okay, now you mentioned something else, and this is where mom was still steering you clients for this. It wasn't just straight tarot cards, which was later, but it was the hands-on healing. Can you talk to us about, just generically, do you still do it? If somebody needed healing hands-on, they can go to your website, obviously, but can you describe what's involved for these guys?
Yeah, I don't do healing touch anymore, but basically it's just prayer, the Holy Spirit. It's just that simple. I think people complicate it.
Hmm.
They put labels on it, but all it is power and energy from God, from the Holy Spirit, from Jesus, from your angels. it's just prayer, and you put your hands on somebody and your hands should heat up. If they don't, then you really don't have it going on. But it's just that simple. And so I just started doing that, and my hands would heat up and people would feel better. So I knew there was a gift there. But the main gift for me was hearing deceased that were coming through. So I kind of stopped doing healings after a while and just did contacting deceased.
And did you ever, I know Zoom and how we're recording now, it's all not relatively new, but kind of relatively new, the pandemic. And upside of the pandemic was everyone hopefully views this stuff as more common, acceptable to have a conversation via video. I mean, I know Apple had that FaceTime thing forever, but not everybody used it. If Bob in Wisconsin or Sarah in Tokyo was like, hey, I had a dream about you doing the hand thing, prayer and healing, and it was via Zoom. They don't have to travel to you in Minnesota. Could you be coaxed into it if they're like, hey, cha-ching, and they're willing to pay up, and it's obviously interrupting your schedule? Would you make an exception twice a year for that person who had the dream and said, I need some
Yeah,
prayer healing? Okay.
but I don't charge for that. You
Oh,
don't
you don't?
charge praying for somebody. No, absolutely not.
Okay. But they could donate afterwards if they got better.
Uh, no,
I'm just pushing it.
it's a prayer, all it is. So yeah, I would do that, but I
Okay.
would not. No.
Well, then maybe one day a monthly healing class this way with absolutely free, just for your marketing stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Back to the business here. Could you tell us a little more about, you hung out a shingle, you put up the website. As a business person, when did you go through those, not dark periods? We don't just, at some point, a business person says, I'm crazy for doing this, or this is amazing. I can't believe people are just, I'm getting one call, one email after another, and it's just, 10 people tried to book me in 1 hour. What
Mhm.
happened for the unfolding of this?
Okay, so people need to understand, it ebbs and flows. And so I will get calls and then I won't get any. And then I'll get calls and then I won't get any. And that's how it works. And then I am booked a lot and then I won't have any. And so for the last 10 years that I've been doing this, that's how it's been for me. I mean, I wish I could say I booked out for 2 months, but I am probably just right now 2 weeks, and then it'll quiet down. And so in this type of work, and I think for anybody who's self-employed, is that it ebbs and flows. And that's the way it's been for like 10 years. So it definitely has gotten better. Don't get me wrong, and it's gotten stronger and I get more calls. But there are times where it's quiet and then they come again and quiet and come again. So
Okay, and now what are your three takeaways? Let's say you've done what you've done for a while and you've seen what you've seen. What are the three takeaways, reminders to the audience that, hey, it's not as complex as it seems. You've seen a lot, you've done a lot, you've listened a lot, you've passed those messages along. What sort of, whatever number of takeaways that you have as a reminder to us all, pretend you had to write a little book in the next 3 weeks. What would be 5 or 10 of those or 3 of those points you'd want to give as reminders?
as to what again?
For living, for helping us all on our path to,
Oh,
relax more, breathe more.
oh, reminders. Yeah. Oh boy, don't we all need to be more patient? Um, yeah, if you're starting this or wanting to develop your intuition, I would just say be patient and trust. Trust what you're hearing. If you're being pulled or guided or you have a gut feeling, you have trust is probably the biggest one. I heard that from Thomas John. He's a famous medium, and he told me to trust what you're hearing. So trust and patience and perseverance. If it's something you love, continue to persevere and try. And with anything in life, I guess.
Exactly. Now, not to plug Nikki, not to plug Echo's school, but she have a school of intuition as well now?
Yeah, she teaches on Zoom how to listen to your intuition. Yes.
I love it.
And there's books out there on how to listen to your intuition. So, and those are very helpful too. I think we all need points on how to listen.
Do you have a favorite book you want to recommend, or do you want to mention one of your favorite heroes on the spiritual path? I think we were talking about Wayne Dyer before the show. Would Wayne Dyer be one of your top favorites?
Yeah, but Sonia Choquette wrote the book Trust Your Vibes. Yeah, she's got it out on Instagram right now too. Sonia Choquette, Trust Your Vibes. That's a really good book on how to hear your intuition. And to plug Echo, actually, she's got a book called How to, what is it? How to Hear Your Intuition. That's a good book.
Exactly. Now, Sonia has moved to Paris, and we'll have to extend an invite to her for late in 2024. I
Okay.
think we've pinged to each other like 8 years ago, 5 years ago, but I
Yeah.
still haven't met her yet. It should be a wonderful guest to have on the show.
Yeah. It'll be
Oh,
good.
okay. What's one thing in your own development you need to let go of? You've heard it a million times. You're like, Mike, I really should, or to Jesus, or to God, or to angels, or to Echo. You're like, I know, or even to your higher self, Nikki. You're like, I know, I'm working on it. What's the thing that is your opportunity for growth that you don't mind sharing out loud for the public here? You know, we all have hangups. We all have stuff where we're holding on. If we would just let go, we could walk a smoother path. What's the thing that you're, evolving?
Well, what I'm having to let go of is when I do deceased work, they don't always come through. And that's very frustrating because I look like a fraud, or it's just a bad day, or the deceased has nothing to say. And that really makes me mad. And I have to let go of that because it's not up to me. If the people come to me, drive 2 hours and come to me, and their deceased doesn't come through, I get so upset. And that's what I have to let go of, because I'm not in control of that. And in the work we're doing here, we aren't in control of the spirit world. So that's what I'm having to let go of, is not wanting to be in control of, well, you better talk to me, and if they don't, they don't. And I'm starting to finally let that go a little bit.
Yeah, and some are ready to get going. I mean, they're chatty Cathy, and they are
Yeah.
just detail after detail after detail. Others, I mean, I don't know how to say it. I'm sure once in a blue moon, dead quiet, and you're like, oh, come on, give
Right.
me something. Uh,
Yeah. So what I'm doing now for that is I'm offering people a tarot card reading instead. So they didn't waste their time coming to me or calling me. If they want one, I'm offering that. So if the deceased is not clear or does not come through.
oh, I love it. Okay, and have you done groups in the past, or have you done some sort of the meetings and stuff?
Yeah, I have. They're really fun.
Yeah, how's that go down? Are you playing it by who's coming in, and then you have to figure out the person and match them up?
Yes, I do. But I do ask groups, I ask people to give me a first name because it helps. It gets the ball rolling, and then someone will come in, a deceased will come in, and then a brother will come in. So I do start off with a name, a first name only, and then it gets things going. And whoever shows up are the strongest spirit and souls. And yeah, it's really fun in a group because people are laughing, they're crying, it's they're getting stuff from other souls. Somebody will want their husband, and the husband's brother will come through instead, who was really funny, and so everybody's laughing. And so yeah, groups are really fun. Mm-hmm.
Can you share one of those moments that you're never going to forget? Peals of laughter. It was funny in a way that you could tell it right now, and it would be funny as well. Something that was cute, or just you're like, wow. And even afterwards, you're like, I really am glad I did that. That was so much fun. It was totally unexpected. Do you have one of those peace love stories that you can share?
Gosh, um, I'm trying to think real quick here. In a group setting, I can't. I'm sorry, Michael. I can't think of one in specific.
Oh no, it's okay. But it's the time about that cherry pie or this or that, and it was just synchronicity, and you know.
Well, I'll tell you something. In a deceased job over the phone that was really awesome was I was talking to this girl, her boyfriend just died, I think that week. And he was in a gang, and he was a real hard ass, and he was swearing, actually. He was really mad he died. And he was tough, and he said the word homecoming. And in my mind, I'm thinking, homecoming? He would never take her to homecoming. He's not that kind of a guy. And then he would go on and cuss and swear about how pissed he was because he died of a drug overdose. And so he said the word homecoming again. And I was like, wow, all right, well, I'm going to tell her. So I said it. and she screamed on the phone, and she had a shirt on that said homecoming on it. So that I've never forgotten that one. That was pretty cool. Yeah. But as far as parties, I can't think of anything in particular that stands out. I'm sorry. In a party. Yeah. It's so combobulated and there's so much going on and spirits coming in and out that I can't think of one particular thing.
Do people, when they first reach out to you by email or filling out your form, or, it's Nikki, Nikki Bodine.com, and you'll see it in the small details underneath the video. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Say something, share something about something that you enjoyed, and this is how others get to experience the content here. They get to experience Nikki, maybe Echo, and maybe even Michael if they want to go that far and check things out. But can you share with us some more flavor on when people reach out to you? Do they sometimes fall into certain categories where you're like, oh, this is the way I'm going to approach this? Or is it all the same the way you begin the process of connecting on their behalf?
Yeah, it's pretty much all the same. And then after a few minutes, I'll realize, okay, um, this is going to be more difficult than I thought, or we connect really well. So yeah, I approach everything the same, but then it turns out a little differently as I get to talk to them.
Was there a point at the beginning you didn't set boundaries, and so some of your energy was getting spent to do this, but now you're rock crystal clear or black and white about, no, I set boundaries. I let, God, Jesus, Mary, angels do the intermediary stuff. Or I don't know how to explain this, but, if you're a hands-on masseuse, a lot of people talk boundaries for just doing that. They're touching people all day long, and they can feel drained if they don't set up some sort of a process in which they keep their energy intact.
Yeah,
How do you
definitely.
describe all that?
I think I set boundaries right away. I don't know how, why, just naturally. I just did. I'm very detached emotionally when I do these readings, which people have asked me about. So yeah, I think I set boundaries up right away from the get-go. You have to.
Are there times that you're like, whoa, like you said, this is really big, that you kind of bring in extra help as well to support you when you do this?
Michael, I'm a simple person. I keep it real simple. I do ask my guides to help me, but that's about it.
Okay. Okay. And are there 3 favorite guides you can mention out loud? I don't want to get into your private stuff, but if you're like, oh no, it's, my Uncle Harry or my dad, but it's also like, Mary or Jesus, and it's this angel, whatever I don't want to press, but if there's 3, you don't mind. If there's 5, you don't mind sharing.
If you don't mind me saying, God,
yeah.
Jesus, the Holy Spirit. Okay. And my guides, because we all have guides. We all know that we have guides that we're born with. So that's really all I call on, really.
Okay. And do you coach people at all for, like, how do you give people advice on how to relax before you begin the reading? Like, pretend they're really nervous, they're like this, they're uptight, they're so worried about what they're going to hear. Do you work on them at all? Does, like, remind them to breathe or to take a breath?
No, I don't really work on anybody. I just tell them not to worry because I don't get anything negative. The cards are never negative. Good. And if I'm working with somebody who, let's say they're an alcoholic or a drug addict, all I'll get is, you need help, but I don't get negative information.
Right.
So I tell them that, and then they relax right away.
Okay. Now, looking forward ahead in your business model, is there anything you want to share about, like, books, projects, meetings? You're going to this conference, that conference, something that is exciting for you in 2024 or 2025?
I don't have any plans right now other than my tarot cards. I'm getting stronger. My messages are getting stronger, and that's really exciting. I will do a tarot reading, and sometimes the deceased will come through, so they'll get 2 things going on for the same price. So I think this new year for me is basically, I can feel it. My messages are getting stronger, and I'm going to continue working with tarot at a deeper level.
Oh, and I love it. I mean, look, your tarot, it's a vehicle, and it's a detailed vehicle. You deliver the goods, and you're welcome to say mine. You know how to say stuff diplomatically the right way. You're welcome to say mine out loud if you feel somehow it's helpful for people. I don't mind sharing, but can you one more time describe how the tarot cards, what they do for you? You literally gives some definition to where a person is at in life, what they've been experiencing up till now, plus how things can and should unfold going forward if they would just breathe into it.
All right. Yeah. The cards you have, what you're going through now, your obstacle, your goals, the last 6 months, your future, and an outcome, your inner emotions, and how people see you. And so they're a map. And then once that's laid out, then I tune into spirit and I get psychic with questions you have, and I tune in, the cards are right there. And then I get people ask me questions, and I can go deeper into the cards and what they ask me.
Okay, now, do you ever get surprised in the middle of all this? Is there something unexpected that you're just like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that today? Or is it always steady Eddie? Which way is it? Do you get occasional, you're like, I didn't see that coming?
Yeah, I do. That's fun. It'll be a deceased coming through. And it brightens up the whole reading, and people love it. And it's only maybe 5 minutes with the deceased. And they're reading, yeah, each one of them is different. It's very validating and accurate, and you get stuff that people, yeah, each reading is different, and they're all very unique and fun.
Okay. All right. Last personal question about the development of all this, your skill set, how you're letting this unfold. If you had a mantra or have a mantra, a saying you try to remind yourself to stay the course, to be Nikki Bodine, to let it come as it will, and to enjoy the ride, what's the mantra, even if you have to make one up right now, that you're, if you could see it on the kitchen wall once a day, but you're not going to ruin your kitchen wall by putting it up there, and you're not going to get a tattoo that says this either, not this too shall pass. We need a more creative. What's your mantra, reminder that you live and try to breathe by that keeps you moving, swinging, and helping others?
Oh, Michael, you are something else.
You're a good judge of character.
I don't have a mantra. I don't know what to say.
Well, okay, what's it all about, Alfie? Let's cite that 1970s movie, but I think there was a remake. Is it about love? Is it about letting go? Is it about, hey, the universe is so big and marvelous?
Okay, all right, let me see.
You're on the spot now. Spotlight's on. I'll even do some special effects. Kidding.
All right, my mantra is, okay. Oh dear.
I'll light some sage to buy you time. Hold on. Okay, so we're buying time. Nikki Bodine, Nikki, Nikki, Bodine.com. Please check out our website if you are so inclined. I'm not kidding. She did my tarot cards before we got on, and she was spot on. It was super short.
I guess stay calm. Don't get pissed off. Don't just breathe. Yeah, I guess that's it. I can't think of anything else.
Well, you're doing great, and thank you very much for the patience for sharing all that you're sharing with us.
Yeah.
I've got a little bit of sage. People at home can catch it. My only rule, which I forgot to even say it to Nikki before we did the sage before the show, which is my only rule. Oh yeah, ask angels to get you out of your head, into your heart, to smell the sage. But if you want flowers, get flowers on top of the sage. Don't settle. That's my message. Don't settle. If I could print t-shirts, I should.
Okay.
Allow more, don't settle. But catch a little bit of sage. Are you getting it in Minnesota from Texas?
Yes. Thank you.
You're a rock star. And blame angels for that, or blame the sage. If you need to think of it as plant medicine via the universe, do it that way.
Okay.
Ooh. And
well, thank you. This is very enjoyable. Thank you, Michael. You're a great interviewer.
Oh, well, thank you for coming on the show. Is there a last story you can share? It might be a different funeral. We don't have to do funerals. It could be a birthday party, a barbecue, where you were caught off guard. You're like, hey, I'm used to funerals. They're coming up to me then. But instead, you were at somebody's gathering. Somebody special came up at that point because they needed to pass a message along, and you were there.
Michael, a lot of mediums do that. I do not do that. No, I just don't. I'm very shut down when I'm not working.
You're disciplined is how I'd put it. As your publicist, I would say you're extremely disciplined.
Yeah, I don't know. As you could tell in the beginning when we were talking, I'm very shut down. So no, that has never happened to me except at funerals or when I'm working.
You're careful where you put yourself, and you're wise to do so.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Oh, well, Nikki Bodine, thank you very much for being on Angels, Positivity, and Love. It was a treat to have you on. Don't forget,
Thank
folks, check out her website at nikki.bodine. And nikkibodine.com is her,
Right,
her
thank
website. And
you.
don't forget, her sister was on in the fall. That's 2023. That's Echo Bodine, New York Times bestseller. Bunch of books out, a lot of books out. And she's a pistol too. So thank
Yeah,
you to the Bodine family for being amazing and helping others. Nikki, thank you for being on the show.
yeah. Thank you, Michael. It was a pleasure.